car, especially 531, 510, 52 Falcon 3, Waffle House, 816. Said someone is shot. Just respond, Hermitage 326.
We got a code 9000 at 3571 Murphyville Pike, 3571 Murphyville Pike, across the Penhook Road at the Waffle House. Looks like there's a female location saying there's a male white who has no clothing on, that's shooting at the location.
Well, we had shot a video. My brother just finished the video to it, so we went out to go celebrate for it. You know, we decided we wanted to go grab something to eat real quick. So we ended up going to Waffle House. It was me, him, his girlfriend, and my girlfriend at the time.
And it's crazy because we pulled up right, we're only a parking spot away from the shooter's car. And I have this thing, like when there's tinted windows, I tend to stare. But we ended up going in, everything seemed normal. We ordered, maybe 10 minutes later after ordering, we heard this pop sound.
We had just sat down and we were talking about how the cook was stacking his dishes too high and how the dishes were gonna fall and crash to the ground. And no later did the cook say he was gonna go on his 15-minute break and take a smoke break. Pretty much after he walked out the door is when the shooting started happening outside, and then they carried inside.
And like as soon as I heard the shots, I just ducked down and I struck out running. I went to the right. We was like kind of in the middle of the Waffle House, so when I went to the right, my brother was with his girl and he went to the left.
Joe Perez was the first person shot. Then Torrance Sanderlin, who was the cook who said he was going on his 15-minute break, he was shot after he seen Joe Perez get shot. So he shot him and he shot through the window, and everybody kind of dispersed. All the employees got down and everybody kind of dispersed.
Every window was busted, everyone was screaming. People who had fell, they were running over people because people were so scared that they were stepping on people who were ducked down. Maybe the last few shots that had happened, those were the shots that hit us.
And after that, he kind of ran out of bullets, and that's when I ran out and did what I had to do.
So when you say you did what you had to do, what was that? What exactly did you do?
I choked him with my left hand, threw him up against the wall, and then once he kind of went for my hand, that's when I jaked the gun, because I had already had the barrel pointed down, so he couldn't shoot no way. So I had the barrel pointed down, and this hand was the hand that received second-degree and third-degree burns in it from holding the barrel.
All I know is I looked to my left and I saw my boyfriend and I realized that he was shot. And I tried to, the moment I realized I was shot is when I tried to get up to get to him. And I couldn't get up. Something's wrong. Something felt heavy, really heavy. And I had noticed that my leg was not attached. Like it was just hanging on. So when I tried to get up, it was like the dead weight dragging with me.
That's when I came and slid down and laid down beside him, and I noticed him and his girl was shot, but he was shot in his arm. She was shot in the leg, so I'm thinking everything's gonna be all right, you know. So I got down on the floor. I was laying there with him, and I had my arm on his back, and I was just like, "You're gonna be all right." He's looking at me, we're looking at each other dead in the eyes, and I'm like, "You know, you're gonna be fine." He's like, "All right," you know, and yeah.
Gun-related deaths are at their highest level in decades. They're responsible for nearly 40,000 deaths this year alone. 2019 saw over 400 mass shootings across the country. That's more mass shootings than days in the year. And in every shooting, a friend, a child, a partner is lost. Mass shooting tragedies spark brief moments of attention in the news, but what most don't consider, especially after all the media coverage is over, are the victims' families and the survivors. Can you tell us about where we're heading right now?
Well, I'm heading to physical therapy.
And And what does physical therapy look like for you? Is it something that you enjoy, something that you don't enjoy?
I do not like it. I love the people, but I don't enjoy physical therapy. It's not fun. It's painful.
Was this it? Is this the Waffle House right here?
Yeah.
It's so
I don't
close.
even like to look at it. It's so bad.
I wouldn't if I was you either. It's so close to your physical therapy place. Does that make it more difficult to have to literally pass it by every time you come to physical therapy?
Mm-hmm. I still haven't been able to open my eyes and just like look at it.
Why was the damage so much?
He used the AR-15, which is already a high-powered rifle. So when the bullet strikes, it strikes extremely fast. And he also used hollow point bullets. I think hollow point tip, is it just hollow point bullets? But so when the bullets hit, they hit you, and then what they do is basically it's like a mini bomb. They explode. They open really wide, and they shred whatever it comes in contact with. And to this day, I still have bullet fragments in my leg that they cannot safely take out without ruining like my flesh, because it's embedded like into my muscle and everything. And you like insurance only covers so much. Like 10% of a $250,000 surgery, that's a lot. 10% doesn't sound a lot, but when you take 10% of
$25,000.
there's like no assistance, like anything out of pocket, like all my hospital bills, they're over $1 million right now. I could work my whole life and not pay that off.
You have over $1 million
in medical bills, and I still have more surgeries, so it's just like frustrating.
So when you realized that your boyfriend had been shot, as well as you, did he immediately seem okay? Did you think he was gonna make it?
Basically, the situation is, I got shot, it exploded, and it made it out to where my leg came off. It hit him. You have a main artery in your shoulder, shoulder that goes to your heart, which is your, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, aorta artery. Okay. It pumps 70% of blood supply to your body. So what happened was it entered into his arm and exploded, but when it exploded, it went to his chest and it cut his main arteries off. So it was a real fight for them to keep blood supply when they're doing surgery. The blood can't come in fast enough if that's responsible for pumping 70% of blood to your body. And so when we were there, he was talking, he seemed coherent, he was in a lot of pain, but on the inside, we didn't know what was going on because no one could see the actual wound because the wound occurred inside his chest.
Sure. What do you hope to see at the end of this journey, however long it may be?
My goal is definitely to walk again. I don't know like what anything has in store for me, but if I don't, I've learned to be okay with it. Like, 'cause it's been so long and I've lived like this, and I learned it's not a death sentence. And I also hope for as well, because the court case is not over, like when the whole thing is over, the court case is done with, and I feel like I can breathe.
And put it all behind you?
Yeah.
We haven't even started the case. Been 551 days and we ain't even started the case. We haven't had any kind of real trial. The only thing we've had was a explanation of what his charges were going to be, but we haven't had any case yet.
At first, I was very mad at him. When something so tragic happens to you, the first feeling you feel is anger. And then after a while, once everything, which I started learning more details, I was not as mad as the shooter or mad at the shooter anymore. Because even though, yes, I'm upset at what he did, there was a lot of things that could have been prevented, and his parents could have prevented a lot. They saw signs in their son, they ignored them. I just feel like as a parent, if you really loved your child so much, why give him a gun that was taken away from him by police when you know that he's not in his right state of mind, and why no one got him help knowing that he suffers from a really debilitating disease.
Has this at all caused you to change the way you live your life? Like, have any type of thoughts like
I
that?
got diagnosed with PTSD, suffered from depression at the start of this year. Well, still have some depression, but I kind of deal with it a little bit better. But yeah, I'm a regular person. It took me a long time to finally go back to the movie theaters. When I'm in crowds, I don't really like to be in the middle of the crowd. Like I said, I'm on the outskirts, back to the wall. I watch people very closely, especially. And this might sound kind of rude, but it is what it is. I watch lankier white men because that's the man that's kind of the build or the fit of the guy who did the crime that I was involved in. So I wouldn't say that I'm shy. I just have to check them, and that's just kind of what I have to do.
I get real bad anxiety attacks. I suffer from real bad depression as well. Not all days are good days. It's hard for me to get out of bed most days, actually. Like, if I don't talk to anyone, I seclude myself. And I was with my boyfriend for 7 years, and now being on my own, being alone, it's not a good feeling.
I believe that when you commit an act that's so heinous and just the weight of your crime, that you can forfeit your life. And then most importantly, I think we're putting a person's mental above, in my situation, 4 people's lives.
In my angry thoughts, I want him to die slowly. Painful. I don't know when I'll stop being angry, but that's what I want.
Yeah, I definitely feel like, the death penalty is like the only way I could just feel it, because I'm just like, he could still visit his mom. He could still see his family. I seen the look in his eyes, how he looked at his family. He cares about his family. My brother can't do it. We have to go visit him in the grave. So I just feel like he killed 4 people, shot 2 people, and intended to kill all of us. I just don't see him spending life in jail equivalent to those 4 lives.
Following the Waffle House shooting, James attracted nationwide and even worldwide attention. He was invited on popular television shows, given donations, and deemed a hero. But the reality is, it's way more complicated.
Before we continue, there's something I know you're probably going to end this out, but there's something that I'm about to say that is kind of controversial.
Well, say it.
When we were laying there, I couldn't stop the bleeding because once it hit a main artery in my leg. So I was losing blood extremely fast to the point to where my whole pants were soaked. It soaked up the whole floor. And I began to panic, and after James Shaw had wrestled the gun away, I was not aware that he had just wrestled the gun away. And he passed by us, and I asked him for help.
What did you ask him?
I literally said, please help me. I can't stop the bleeding. Please, please. Everyone else has left, and I have no one. Please, can you help me and my boyfriend? He's shot as well. Can you put pressure on his wounds? And he looked me in my eyes and said, I can't help you. And he left.
Was that the only words that he said?
That's it. Sorry, I don't mean to cry, but
No.
it's just like the news and everything was like, when I saw it, my heart just kind of dropped. Because he went on the news and he was like, he even admitted like that day, like I didn't do it to save it, like to save anyone. I did it because I wanted to live. Like he didn't care about us. And then like the next moment, the news came out with the article that he's a hero, and like everyone had donated all this money to him and saying he's a hero. My heart just dropped like in the hospital bed. I'm like looking and I'm like, that is the same man that looked me in my eyes and said he couldn't help me when everybody else left. I just felt like if you had like some decency as a person who just looked at someone like that and just leaves. Like in that moment, I just thought, like, this is where I'm gonna die. Like this is where me and my boyfriend are gonna die.
Have you spoken to him since the incident happened?
I've never spoken to him.
If you could, is there something that you would want to say to him?
Yeah.
What would that be?
Just, like, I know he has a child, like, just think maybe in the future if something like this happens again, think about your daughter, like if she was laying there bleeding out and she needed help and someone passed her by, like what would you call that man that left your daughter there?
I feel like everyone has their own journeys for peace to go through. And we met with a young woman who survived the Waffle House incident. Her name is Tia. Have you ever met her before?
Met Tia, technically I met Tia twice, I guess you could say. One time she was in the hospital, so I doubt she'll remember me, and the other time was, well, I guess I only met her once, really, and that was at the Waffle House, but yeah. At the hospital.
She asked us to ask you this on her behalf. Everyone has their own journey of trying to get through peace, and she said that her experience while she was in the Waffle House was that after she had been shot and you wrestled the gun away, she asked you if you could help her, and that you didn't. Do you remember that situation at all?
Very vividly.
What can you tell us what happened?
So after the situation, I actually left in my truck and I didn't have my phone on me. I came there with one other person, which was BJ. So I actually stopped two people in the easeway, told them to call the police. I backed up, parked my truck, walked back down, and I went to go get BJ. Everybody's still taking cover because pretty much nobody knew what I had did. So I panned to the left, no BJ. I panned back to the right, and I'm calling out BJ's name. He finally comes out the bathroom, and I'm just happy to see him. Mind you, I've seen 4 other dead people walking to go get BJ. So probably not in the greatest state of mind after seeing somebody's head pushed in. I don't know if you've ever seen anybody die or if you've ever seen somebody's back of the head blown off, but it's not a great thing to see. So I'm not really as bad as it sounds, and this is why I say I'm not a hero. It's very selfish. Got myself out. Was happy he was alive. He was unscathed. I went to go get BJ. We saw Tia right there. Her leg was literally hanging off to the side, kind of like a banana peel, and she asked me for help. I didn't know what to do. What happened if he comes back in here? Start shooting again. I'm just seeing 4 dead people. I didn't really have it in my mind to, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was nothing I could do. I know nothing about wrapping up your leg. I know nothing about surgery. I know nothing about the wounds that you have. So it wasn't that I was leaving her like that, but it was, you know what I'm saying? It's an unfortunate situation. You'd have to really be in the situation to understand the frankness of the situation, the right now, let's move, or this is gonna happen.
I actually didn't see when everything happened. I know for sure by his actions that he stopped that guy from reloading that gun and killing the rest of us. That I do know. Is that heroic? Yeah, that is heroic to me. That's he saved us, you know. So I always looked at it as like that. You know, he says his intentions was to save himself. You know, he said you know, he was just trying to stop him. He was trying to survive. You know, but in the midst of that, he did save everyone. So I'm thankful for that. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I'll be honest, I didn't like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've had people fire one shot and then set it down and run in the bathroom and cry. I've had that happen.
Cry
before
about
also.
what though?
About just the power,
Yeah,
you know.
I could see that though. When you see people that are gun shy, your reaction is what?
Try my best to turn it around because the firearms are not the problem. It's the people behind the gun. Think about it, okay? When a bad thing happens and there's a bad guy with a gun, what's the first thing you do? You call the police, which is a good guy with a gun. You know, that's the only thing that stops bad people with guns, or good guys with guns.
How does one stop a bad guy from getting a gun in the first place?
Well, I think one of the bigger things that would help would be to see, whenever someone purchases a firearm, they have to go through a background check. I think the background check, and the background check is just criminal, all right? I think they need to tie mental health records into the background check somehow. I think they need to be able to check, is this person a diagnosed schizophrenic? You know, are they whatever mental disease, you know, something that would make them to where they would be a danger with a firearm. I think that needs to be linked in with the background checks.
What emotions or reactions come to mind when you think about a gun-free society?
That would be great, but that would be like utopia, and that would be like, you know, paradise, and that just doesn't exist.
So that it just wouldn't be possible, you think?
It wouldn't be possible. And then here's the other thing, who's going to take them? Local law enforcement, probably not going to put themselves in that position to come take them. Our military, you got to remember, they sign up and they sign an oath to defend the country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Banning things like this goes against the Second Amendment of the Constitution, so there's that. The only other option you got really is NATO, and there you go, there's another civil war.
It's disputed whether mental health screenings are able to keep guns out of the wrong hands. The fact is that guns aren't that difficult to obtain in the United States. If guns weren't so easy to get, would we have as much gun violence in this country?
Buford Toon, retired police officer, 30 years here, Metro Nashville, tactical officer, and we trained law enforcement security officers across the state of Tennessee.
Oftentimes people say that the only thing that can stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. My first question is, I'd like you to react to that, whether you think that's true or false, and B, how law enforcement is supposed to know who's the good guy and who's the bad guy.
Yes, the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun, if I've got a gun, is a good guy, but it's not necessarily a gun. If I'm sitting in my car and you start shooting at me, I ain't getting out shooting back. I'm gonna run over you. So it's not necessarily force on force with a gun against a gun. It could be a stick, it could be a slingshot, it could be anything. So it can be true, and then again, it cannot be true.
How is law enforcement supposed to know who's the good guy versus the bad guy?
That's the problem. The Burnett Chapel Church shooting here, the guy that did that shooting, the Friday before that Sunday, sat in this classroom in here doing an unarmed security class. You'd have never known it. He was very polite. You would have never known he had a mindset like that. Matter of fact, he even helped my office manager at the time quieten down two little guys in there who just wasn't there, just wanting to mouth off the whole time. He told them both, he said, y'all better take this serious. You could die out there doing this stuff. And I'm going, boy, I'd hired him in a minute. And then Monday morning when I found out who he was, I like to fell out of my chair because that demeanor was nowhere close. It's a problem, big problem. And we try to make everybody understand that.
Me, my main thing, you know, a lot of people that gun owners, their main thing is worried about people taking guns away from them. And I understand in reality, people are gonna have guns, you know, people gotta protect themselves. But I just feel like AR-15s, AK-47s, any kind of assault rifle, weapons of mass destruction, war, don't need to be in regular people's hands.
Life moves forward. I know that life has to go on, but it sucks when like life goes on and people leave you behind, because friends I thought that would be there aren't here. I spend like most of my days by myself. I have like 2 friends who come see me when they can, because you know they have jobs, kids, you know, other things. I understand that, but everybody else in my life, other than my parents and like close family, they left. Like I have no one. Like you would think like you spend so much time with people and they say, oh, I'm your friend, I care about you, and then something really tragic happens to you and they're not there. You would think like you party with these people all the time, you go out all the time, and you ask for them. Like when I was in the hospital, no one came and saw me. That was like the most saddest day of my whole life.
Why do you think nobody came?
They didn't care, because you know, even after they didn't come, I was like, sorry, I'm not trying to cry, like, I'll reach out to them. I'll call them and text like, hey, I'm here, like, I even told them, like, I'm doing so bad. Like, I lost the one person that meant the absolute world to me. It was like I lost my mom or dad or brother. That's how much he meant to me. Like, my whole heart gave out and no one was there.
Is there anything that I didn't ask, or maybe something that you didn't say that you want to share, or something that maybe people don't know about this story, or anything?
Just to be kind to survivors. Like, a lot of people, they don't understand, yes, we survived, but there's a lot of mental trauma that we deal with every day. I would tell people to spend more time with their family. Like, you never know how long you have left. And just love. Just spread love. That's really it. Like, if you were to leave this world today, you don't want to leave the world knowing that you were like a bitter or spiteful person or whatever you're out doing. Like, you rather spend your life doing something good than to die for something that you didn't really even care about at the end of the day.